It's my weekly rotation, and this should be a quick video because I mainly wore my bottles this week. Only one sample tried in the last 7 days, and I had a pretty good week scent-wise because I wore mostly, well, everything I wore actually I really like a lot. So what I might do maybe is start off with the sample that I wore very early in the week. I have already mentioned this once before in this weekly rotation series. This is a perfume called Pop Culture. It comes from a brand called Diffractive Studios. They are UK-based, and I think for the meantime they have very limited distribution, and I believe it's also the only perfume in the line so far. I could be wrong. There might be new stuff coming out soon, but I will leave a link in the description in case anyone's in the UK or able to get a sample of it. I was lucky enough to be sent a sample of it. And description, well, first of all, when I wear this, I realised how nostalgic this perfume makes me feel because there are a couple. The main accord I smell in it, it's listed on the website as a cola accord. To me, it's not so much the cola that I grew up with, but it has more of a cola / Dr. Pepper feel about it to my nose. It's really reminiscent of my childhood, really, because it is kind of lighthearted, a little bit of fun, but also smells good. It doesn't smell gimmicky at all. It's a really nice, cozy, feel-good scent. I'll actually list the notes now on screen so you can have an idea of what this perfume might be about, but it's really well made, really impressive first perfume for this brand. Probably not for everyone if you don't like the sound of the notes, but if you can try it, definitely I recommend sampling it. So I'll just quickly run through what I wore from my bottles. Now, we had a couple of days that were, for this time of year in Melbourne, pretty unseasonably warm, mild. I wouldn't say warm, but they were nice enough for me to bring out a couple of freshies that I'm glad I got to wear again, probably now, not for a few months until it starts to warm up again. In case anyone's confused, I am in the Southern Hemisphere, and right now it's June, so we're kind of officially in winter, although compared to a lot of my friends in the Northern Hemisphere, winter in Melbourne is really not that bad. They only, days reach low teens Celsius, so I can't really complain. But I got to wear Pour Monsieur from Chanel. This is the EDT version, gorgeous citrus chypre, and another citrus chypre basically from Parfum D'Empire. This is Azimut les Oranges, and such a realistic orange tree note, but I always say how much I love that oak mossy dry down. It's almost like a cigarette ashtray. It's kind of the best way to describe it, but such a great artistic perfume from Parfum D'Empire. And moving on to some of my long-time favourite bottles, actually, these ones I've loved for a long, long time. They're some of the best perfumes that I own. Starting off with Caron, this is Le Troisième Homme, Third Man. Gorgeous, mouth-watering citrus opening, moving into this combination of clove and lavender, and eventually settling down into another kind of spicy, mossy bed of notes. And then the wonderful Au Popinax from Santa Maria Novella, gorgeous combination again of a mixture of resins. Definitely the Opoponax is the star, but it's kind of lightened by some sparkly citrusy notes in the opening, and it just makes it so classy and wearable. And I always imagine a well-dressed, very groomed, mature Italian man walking out of a barber smelling like this. I also wore 1962 from Floris London, no longer in production, I believe. It was discontinued, sadly. Cypress, very spicy, woody, reminiscent a little bit of things like Tom Ford's Italian Cypress. People also compared this to Polo Green, although I have not smelled any vintage Polo Green to make that comparison. But if you know either of those perfumes, you kind of get an idea of what this one smells like. And then my gorgeous benzoin honey cumin concoction, Absolu pour le Soir by Maison Francis Kurkdjian. I have heard a couple of things around the traps that this may be coming back, maybe not in its original form, but some variation of this. But now, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you where I read that or heard that. But if that's true, I've got my fingers crossed that it's going to be close to what this is, because this is just a stunning perfume as far as I'm concerned. And we get to the perfume that I wore every single day for the last 7 days. And what can I tell you? It's Ensemble Mythique by Guerlain. And this perfume I love, obviously, but something of note usually happens with my weekly perfumes since I started doing this at the beginning of the year. And this wore exactly how I expected to. This is kind of quite a monolithic perfume in that, like, you spray that on in the morning, you know what you're going to get. Nothing really changes throughout the day. This actually is one of my longest lasting perfumes, but for the first time this year with these perfumes, I actually got a couple of separate compliments. Now, I'll need to qualify this by saying that they came from both of my kids. I sprayed this on early in the week, and I went off to go to work and say goodbye to each of them, and they both, unprompted, individually told me that I smelled really good today. So this is something really that does get noticed when you wear it, and people get close enough to you to smell, and it's such a pleasant smell. I know some people do not like this, but it's one of my favorite roses, ambergris as well. So yeah, Ensemble Mythique was a winner for the last 7 days, and certainly a different outcome to what I had with my scent last week, which was Tabac Vert, and made me have doubts about whether I want to keep wearing that one. Anyway, uneventful but very, very pleasant weekly rotation for me this last week. Obviously, I want to hear about what you wore in the last week, and if you have any interesting tidbits about any of the perfumes that I wore over the last 7 days. It's been lovely to talk to you, short and sweet, and I will see you for the next video. Bye for now.